Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's nice to be here. And actually, it's the first time I'm here together with Paul. So it's a real honor to be here. It's cool. Also because Paul's been with the Griffon family for so many years. We are talking more than 30 years, working together with Griffon very closely. So then it becomes a family feeling, something very special. Yeah, like Paul said, I'm here to tell you a bit about the Diablo 333 and of course the new Power Zone 3. So the Diablo 3, it is not just a revamp of the original Diablo 300. The Diablo 300, if we go a little bit back, it is by far the best-selling Griffon product ever. By far. It has been our bread and butter product for 7 years. And when we launched it, we were just like, okay, can it really exceed the original Diablo 250? Can it do so much better? And it has probably done almost 3 times the numbers within only 7 years. And the 250 was in production for 10 years. So for us, it has just been wow. So replacing an icon with a new icon is always a challenge. And it's always a little bit scary. How will the world respond to it? But we were aware of, as soon as we heard the prototypes, it was just like, okay, this is a no-brainer. This is going to be the new bread and butter for Griffon. And like I said, it's not just a revamp, because it has been redesigned completely from ground. So if we take the 300, the weight of the 300 is 36 kilos. Okay? The new beast, 50.2, with the exact same dimensions. So it has gained a lot of weight. And the transformer itself weighs 22.4 kilos. So the transformer has grown a lot. It's like 40% more than the 300. We have also done something different, because we introduced a new transistor to this model. In the past, if you look at the Mephisto and the Evo and the 300 and the Essence, they're all using Sanctum transistors. And it's something we have done for ages. But as the Sanctum transistor is obsolete, and we were told by Sanctum years ago, you have 2 years to do the last time buys. Then what we're going to do? We're going to buy the entire lot of Sanctum transistors and then allocate to the different products. But the 300 was selling too well, so we had to come up with a new integrated 1 year earlier, minimum, than expected, because we used all the transistors. And that's why the 333 uses the same transistor as the big Apex. We can run them with higher gain. They actually run cooler. We can have an additional pair of transistors than the 300. And the tonality is a lot more neutral. It is faster. It is more crisp. It has a better bass. So when you listen to the 333 and you listen to the Apex, you will hear some of the same stuff going on. Of course, it's not pure Class A. It will never have the same headroom. It will never have the same dynamics, because an Apex is 1 farad power capacity, which is a welding machine. But you hear that tonality. And that's why when I did a demonstration the day before yesterday in Manila, that an Apex owner said to me, "Shit, Rune, it's a mini Apex. It has the same tonality as my Apex." I said, yeah, that's very true. We are using the same pre-drivers. We are using the same binding posts. We have made a smaller version of the spikes. So a lot of that technology has been trickled down into the 333. 333, we have also developed 2 whole new modules, a new DAC module and a new phono stage. And the phono stage, to me, is a killer. It's a killer. It is so good that when Tom designed it, and he said to me, "Rune, I want you to come to the listening room. I want you to give me your honest opinion. What do you think we should do here and there?" And I went over and I put on a record, and I was just like, I turned against Tom and I said, "Tom, you did it again. This is nothing but a masterpiece into an integrated amplifier. It's true dual mono, it's pure Class A, it's completely split in the center, so it's mirrored design in its own chassis. You control the interface right here, so you shift between MC and MM just on the front panel, and you have some dip switches on the back so you can control the loads. But sonically, it is so superior to the old phono stage, the PS2S. Zero comparison. Furthermore, we wanted to do it very puristic, because when you see a cartridge is always 100% balanced. Always. It's never single-ended. It is 100% balanced. So it actually makes no sense to have single-ended connectors on your cables. You will only degrade the quality. So that's why the new Phono Stage 3 for the Diablo 333 only comes with XLR inputs. Only XLR. We don't want to diminish the performance by allowing RCA on the new Phono Stage. And the reason why I think, and I don't know why, if it's the truth, but the reason why a lot of people, they're using RCA on their cartridges or their phono cables for their turntables is a traditional thing. It is a historical thing, something that goes way back to the 60s and 70s and so on. Because why going from a fully balanced design into a single-ended design? Makes no sense. So that's the reason why we have done it. And we want to, as a company, it's important for Gryphon because Gryphon is a high-performance company. We have to maintain the integrity, both of our, as a company, as human beings, but also in terms of integrity towards the recorded material. We want to be as close as possible to what was recorded and what was intended for us to hear. So the 333 is just another level. Compare the 300 with the 333. I want you to listen to that at some point. I hope Paul will give you the chance to hear that one time. I believe that before the 333, the 300 was without comparison the best integrated amp in the world. It is also, without doubt, the best-selling high-end integrated amplifier in the world. No doubt. With more than 3,000 copies out there in the world. I don't think there is any other ultra-lux company being capable of doing that. But this one, it will exceed it. There is no doubt. We already see it now. It's a really, really interesting piece. Furthermore, you don't see any acrylics on the 333. Everything is aluminum, and the touch panel, front panel, is made from a tempered glass. And it's a touch screen. So we have also gone up to the 4.3 TFT touchscreen, like you see on the Commander over here. It's the same type of screen that we are using. And it's something that you will definitely see in the future, because it's easier to design the interface. It's easier to give it the look that we want to have it, name inputs and so on. We have a lot more possibilities with this interface, and I think it looks great. And I don't know if you have seen it, but it is no longer green or blue. It's a white interface now. So we have moved away from all the blue ones, as you see down here, for instance, or blue-green type color. That's also a new approach. So that's a little bit about the 333. Of course, it's 333 watts AB into 8 ohms. The first 10 watts is pure Class A. On the 300, it is only the first 5 watts. It doubles in 4 ohms, so it becomes the number of the beast, 666. And it is a Diablo, so that was actually important to reach that number. More than 1.1 kilowatt in 2 ohm. So you can drive any speaker on this planet. It doesn't matter. Down here, you see some new stuff. The PowerZone 3 with the Hafner Tech. And I bet this is the first time you have ever heard about Hafner Tech, because it has never been revealed to the world before. It is the first time ever being used in any application. And what is Hafner Tech? It's, I heard you, Paul, in the beginning here, even though that you were speaking Chinese, it was a little bit, but you were talking about a conditioner. It is not a conditioner. It is not an isolation transformer. It is not anything we think about power products. It's an optimizer. It's a power optimizer. Yeah, and that's important, because even for us, it has been difficult to find out what should we call it. Should we call it power purifier, power optimizer? Because it's not a line conditioner, because there is no active filtration going on. All right, I will step a little bit back. Hafner Tech is developed by a man. He's a chemical engineer on a molecular level. He's a metallurgist, and he's from Romania, from Bucharest. Mr. Paul Hafner, he is also a Griffon distributor, actually. And he's also a Nordos distributor, or maybe he used to be, I don't think he is now. But he has been in the business for ages. However, he's been running a company next to it about quantum resolution, because it's down on quantum physics level we are talking. Mr. Hafner has spent 14 years to achieve this result. I already came around this technology back in 2016. Actually, Mr. Hafner came to Griffon, and that was during the days when our founder, Mr. Rasmussen, was still around at the company. Fleming retired in 2018 from Griffon. But he came with these modules, and we were listening to it. And both Fleming and I, we were just like, whoa, what happened? But it was too big, too weird for Mr. Rasmussen to comprehend, and to understand that this could actually be a Griffon product. So he actually said to Mr. Hafner, Paul, I love your product. I think you should take a world patent because this can change audio. But we cannot do it with Griffon because this is not a real Griffon product. All right. So Paul and I, we stayed in contact with each other over the years, and I got to listen to some of the stuff. Last year, the technology was finally ripe. It was ready to pick. And so Paul came to us, and we all sat down, the whole engineering team, me, Jakob, our CEO, Valdemar, our main shareholder and chairman of the board. We were all sitting there, a whole group of people. And when we heard the product, we were just, this is mind-blowing. This is crazy what is going on. And even with the most skeptical engineers in our team, like Tom Møller, our chief engineer, Tom has designed 99% of our products since November 2000. So he's the guy behind everything you see here, except for the rack and the cables, because I've designed them together with our tech designer. But otherwise, it's Tom's stuff, and except for the power zone. So a power zone is based on metallurgy, and it's based on carefully chosen materials, and they are chosen for their resonance properties. Okay? Chosen because of their resonance properties. Just like we have chosen the Keroc material for their resonance properties. When you send something, and in this case, it's power, through a conductor material, you will create resonances, you will create turbulences in the material. It's inevitable. It will always happen. However, how can we create an environment for the power where we will eliminate those possibilities? So again, we are talking, because it is quantum physics, because it's based on dimensions. And we know the 3D, the 3 dimensions, length, height, width. We know that. That's the 3 dimensions. But there is a 4th dimension, and that's time. But can we measure that over time? It's impossible. We can only measure it in a shock. There is also a 5th dimension and so on. However, it is crucial when we are sending the power through the materials that we will create the optimal surroundings for the power. So there is no filter inside. There is no capacitors. There is no resistors. There is no coils. There aren't any components inside the modules. It's purely based on material science and alloys based on their resonance properties. So we are using some alloys, and I cannot disclose what type of alloys we are using because it's a patent pending at the World Patent Office. And we are waiting for that. Hopefully we will have it within a few months. But it is not the same type of alloys that we have chosen for ground and the two lives. Most of the time when you look into a cable, you take a power cord, whatever. Ground, live, neutral, they're all the same conductor materials. But we have a tendency to forget that ground needs to have a much quicker speed than live and neutral. And why is that so? Ground moves in the opposite direction. So we focus on speed and less on details on the ground. All the components, they're connected to each other through what? Ground. They're all connected to each other. They will all send information to each other through the ground. That's why sometimes we experience there is a ground loop. But in this case, by having a much quicker ground material, ground conductor material, and it goes the opposite direction, then we can control the ground. So that's why we use different types of alloys. So we can focus on the details for the two lives, or the two active, live and neutral, and then speed on the other one. The conductor materials, they are covered in its own enclosure, and they're covered in resin. So if you want to figure out what is going on inside this module, you will have to break it. But as soon as you break this construction and you break the resin, you will break the metallurgies. You will break the crystalline structure of the conductor material. So you will never be able to find out about the resonance properties and the right dimensions. So we are actually, and the easiest way to explain it is actually a water pipe system. Okay? A water pipe system in a house or whatever. If the water pipes aren't dimensioned in the right way, you will create turbulences in the water pipe system. And you want to have an equal flow of the water in the water pipe system. Always. It should be an equal flow. It's a piston flow without turbulence. You don't want to have it going like this. That is done through pure science when they dimension the water pipes, because they want to eliminate turbulences in the water pipe system. We do the exact same with the power sending through the alloys. So inside, we have 3 types of conductors in a specific alloy with the right dimensions that will eliminate those. And that's where it comes from, saying that is a power optimizer. There are no downfalls. It cannot degrade over time. It cannot oxidize over time. It cannot be destroyed over time. So it is a lifetime product. It will never change over time. Like a capacitor or a resistor, it will change over time. But the metallurgy will never change over time. So it will be the exact same 50 years from now. 0 differences. So that's why longevity becomes an important thing. Suddenly you have one power optimizer system. You can keep it for life. Another big benefit is it is not brand depending. It doesn't matter if it's a Griffon or an Aquaphase or D'Agostino or a Marantz or Luxman whatever, it does the exact same thing to the system, to any audio system. That's why we have very high expectations also for the AV industry, for pictures, because it influences audio so much. It also influences the picture. So you will have the exact same benefit if it's a picture or if it's sound. There aren't any differences. And that's why it's such a strong product, because it can go into any house and you can use it on any AV system. The easiest way actually to show you the difference would have been if we just had one power cord running from the wall straight into the amp. We played one piece of music, and then we took the same power cord and ran it through the power zone straight into the amp. Same track, same level. Then you would have experienced how big the difference is. Timing is so important in music, because what we want to listen to is actually musicians who have been playing together for maybe decades, and timing is crucial to make it sound right, that they can actually play together. Resolution, details, dynamics, everything improves. So you will not sit after when you listen to the power zone and think, I like this version better, because then you actually liked something which is not correct. And we are aiming to get as close as possible to the truth. Will it ever be perfect? Never. There is no such thing as the perfect world, unfortunately. Or maybe it's great, because it keeps us on our toes and always gives us the possibility to move forward, be creative, come up with new idea, to get closer to the truth or to the reality. One last thing in terms of when we were talking about the dimensionality of things and why we choose different dimensions, so on. There is another dimension that we don't take into consideration that actually has an equal big impact on the audio system, and that's the surroundings. When you go to a live concert and you have the cellist sitting in front of you playing on her cello, the room has less impact on the overall performance. Less impact. Timing is there, dimensionality, shape, bow, strings, wooden box of the cello. Everything is right. Everything is chosen for a reason. But the room becomes less important on a live experience. But when we try to recreate that live experience here on an audio system, suddenly the surroundings becomes a dimension that will have an impact on this audio system. So the surroundings has a much bigger impact on this entire ecosystem than the surroundings in a live concert hall. Far bigger. And that is something that the optimizer is less depending on due to the resonance properties of the chosen materials. So that's what it's all about, power optimization. That's the power zone. There are no limitations to it. This one is it the 3.20, Paul? Yeah.
Yes.
So you have two power cords going into it. So you can actually run two 20 amp outlets or inlets into it. It gives us the possibility to draw 40 amperes through this unit.
Wow.
40 amperes. 20 amperes for the 4 sockets to the left, 20 amperes to the 4 sockets to the right. And it was made and designed with the 2 modules inside. The 3.20 carries 2 modules. Because we wanted to be able to run the Apex solos, the commander, the source, the phono stage, straight from one power zone. You can do that, Paul. So for the first time ever, Griffon actually recommends not to run the power amp straight from the wall.
Yes.
Straight from the power zone.
Yes.
Because the improvement, it is not like this. It's here.
Yes.
So that's what you're going to do. So power cord from the apex into the right, or to the left, and to the right. Then you have separated the 220 amp on this one. The 3.10 only has one module, one power cord in, and it shares the metallurgy to all the 8 outlets. But it still has 8 outlets, but it's only one module. And it's designed, the 3.10, you can run an Apex stereo, the Commander, so on, because it's 120 amp. So 0 limitations. You just run everything through it. And there will not be a loss in dynamics. On the contrary, you will improve dynamics. So that's it. And feel free to ask questions if you have, because it can be very difficult to cope with, because this is all new. Griffon holds the rights to Hafner Tech in audio. Mr. Hafner holds the rights to Hafner Tech in the medical industry. Because we are not a medical company. And it would be wrong for Griffon to partner in that. We will lose focus, and I will be running around to hospitals and surgery rooms, talking to doctors and so on to use it with their equipment. And I'm in it for the game, for the audio. I'm in it for the music. And so that's why we have made that agreement. Mr. Hafner is today employed on a scientist's contract, Griffon. So it's something you can do through the Danish government, that you become a scientist. So even though he lives in Romania, he's full-time employed by Griffon, doing research and development constantly together with the R&D team. But 14 years of R&D before we had this product. It's probably one of the longest runs for a new audio product. And I know it sounds maybe vain or arrogant. I know that very often in audio we want to talk about something which is revolutionary. There has been very, very few revolutions in high-end audio. And if we go back and we think about some of the first amplifiers and so on, and from the beginning of Macintosh in 1949, you know, and the way that they've been going through the industry, the way Griffon has been going through the industry for next year 40 years. How many revolutions have we experienced? Very few. Very few. It has been improvements. It has been evolutions. Autophone, 106 years old. 106 years old. The best and largest cartridge manufacturer in the world. But, you know, still a cartridge. It has improved a lot. But is it a revolution? I don't think so. And you know, we work together with Autophone for our new cartridge, the Black Diamond DLC. And we chose that because they are the best. Simple as that. Or that's what we believe. And it's a Danish company, because others might say it's something else, Quets or whatever. But we believe that. But I think with this product, like I said again, I want to say this is a revolution in terms of performance, what we are capable of doing now, because it's a completely different approach. And we have never been able to achieve that step in performance before. Because we always talk about differences. Always. Oh, it sounded different. Yeah, of course it sounded different. Because you change from one connector to another. That makes differences. But is it better? That's a different case. It has to improve. Otherwise it's pointless. It's like when we, that's why F1 is so intriguing to follow. Because they need to improve every second week. When they go back to the factory, they need to come up with a small wing, here and there that would change the airflow on the entire car. It might just be such a small piece of carbon fiber that changed the whole dynamics of the car. And I think we have to be aware of that. That's interesting, because they move forward. Sometimes they take a step backward. Sometimes in audio, we just stand on the same level for ages. And then small increments. Small increments. CD, when it came out, of course, it was revolutionary. No doubt. It was. And we have seen that with different technologies. When Apple came out with their iPod, it was also a revolution. Even though it was MP3, but it was a revolution. In terms of you had all your music here in your pocket. But this one, I think, we have finally made it. So, that's it from me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.